And we'll,
I will get the camera over here.
let me know when you get your owl up.
We're ready to go. We're ready to go.
All right, this is the Board of Construction Appeals. Call this meeting to order. You can say a prayer for us, Mr. Lynch,
The pledge?
or a prayer, I'm sorry.
The prayer or the pledge?
The prayer.
Okay. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for everything that you've given us and how you've blessed us, dear Lord. And thank you for allowing us to come together and help us move swiftly through the things that are important and try to make this county a better place for all its citizens. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. All right, Mr. Quinn, you want to say the pledge?
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Caught me off guard there. I guess we can go ahead and call the roll, and then we'll just move into a presentation. Mr. Secretary?
Mr. Barry Bradley.
Here.
Mr. Roger Smith. Bruce Quinn.
Here.
Brian Lynch.
Here.
Jim Monahan. Michael Williams. John Janone. Wally Gilliam.
We don't have a quorum, so I guess we'll just move on. And,
So Mr. Chairman's going to wait to approve the minutes till next meeting for the previous
absolutely, we'll wait
meeting.
till we have a quorum, we'll approve the minutes next meeting. And since we don't have an agenda to approve, we'll just move straight on into this presentation. We'll go to our Mr. 911 Director.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. My name is Mike Guthrie. I'm the Director of the Emergency Communications District. Just a little bit of a background. There's an Emergency Communications District and an Emergency Communications Center. So we are two separate entities. The center is the public safety answering point for the county. So that's where your 911 calls, your admin calls go to, and then those are dispatched out to public safety throughout the county. The district, we are responsible primarily for addressing, mapping, and then the IT support of the center. So we work closely together, but that's kind of our background. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is just a little bit about our addressing, basically why we exist and why that's important, and just maybe answer a few questions that you might have in reference to addressing and anything else related. So the district. We were formed in 1986 in Sumner County, basically just to facilitate the intended use of the 911 system. You had your basic 911 back in the day where your landlines would call 911 and they knew your phone number. Then we moved on to enhanced where we got an address and a phone number for your landlines. Currently, we're in the next gen phase where we're getting, phase 2 wireless calls where if you call 911 from a cell phone, then we've got your telephone number and in most cases your location. But why is that important for addressing? Well, because we keep up with all of the addressing in the county, that goes to a database to the state and then goes on to another place called Intrado, which basically houses all of the 911 information, the infrastructure, and the call routing for your 911 calls. So the addressing is extremely important, whether it's an address point, a center line, or a roadway, to determine the closest possible location when a cell phone call, when a landline call, or when a VoIP call comes in to the center. Then we know where to send those, we know where to direct those calls, and then know who to send out to those calls. And then of course, NextGen also has text to 911. So the ECD is primarily responsible for addressing and street name approval throughout the county. Initially, all of your municipalities and your counties are responsible for addressing. However, by statute 786-127, that can be given to the districts within the state of Tennessee. And all of the cities within Sumner County and the county have given that authority to the ECD. Makes things much simpler because you have one point that will issue all the addresses. You have one point that's going to review and potentially approve the street names across the county. That's pretty important so we don't duplicate street names. Again, we have a consolidated dispatch center, so all of our emergency and non-emergency calls are coming in there, and we want to limit the time that it takes to find out where you are and send help out, so we don't want those street names duplicated. We issue addresses for single-family homes, townhomes, HPRs, apartments, businesses, and utilities. I don't think that there are many apartment complexes that you're going to be dealing with out in the county, or I wouldn't think many HPRs, or probably not even many townhomes. But certainly businesses, utilities, and single-family homes are our primary cause of business. This is our website, acd.sumnercountytn.gov. It's very simple for somebody to go along through there and request an address, whether, again, that's for a single-family home, townhome, development, whatever. Utility addresses, we get those pretty often. If a development comes in and they want a nice fancy sign at the beginning of the subdivision, and they want that lit up, well, they've got to have an electric meter, so we have to issue an address for that. Let's say a mile down into the subdivision, they want a big fancy fountain, so they've got to have a water source and another electric meter. Well, we have to issue another address for that. Yeah, so because every meter has to have an address for any utility. I don't care if it's Cumberland Electric, Gallatin, NES, or who, but they want an address for every meter. So, and I guess that's so they can track that, and it's not like they're sending a bill to that address, but they have to have some point to reference that for the billing later on, and for service as well. Street name approval, we have a form there. You can just click on it, and you get this form, and you can put on there as many names as you want. And we do recommend that when people ask for street names, that if you only need 2 street names, put 5 or 6 on there, because we're probably going to deny a couple of them anyway. And we turn around these addresses pretty quickly. If it's just 1 or 2 addresses, we're probably getting those back in an hour. If it's a subdivision, probably take us a couple of days to do that, depending on the size of the subdivision. Sorry about that. Let me get back to my PowerPoint. Or not. Moving forward there. Let me go back. We issue addresses based on the location of the driveway most of the time. So across the county, in the city, you're going to have a driveway, you're going to have a house that's right up next to the road. So it's not such a big deal there. However, we have the sheriff's office, we have EMS, and we have EMA that are going to be responding to addresses in the cities and out in the counties. So we want to make that consistent across the county, that we give you an address based upon the driveway location. In the cities, you might have a corner lot. We'll issue 2 addresses for those when you request an address. And both of those are temporary, they're contingent. So because you may not know where the driveway is going to land initially, or you may think, okay, the driveway is going to be best on street A, and then they build a house, and for whatever reason, we've had this happen, they decide to put the driveway on street B. So we just go ahead and give every corner lot 2 temporary addresses, then once the driveway is established, we go back and we just erase the other one. Exceptions would be townhomes, for instance, where they might be a rear loading townhome or a house or something like that, and maybe the front door is right up against the road. There might be exceptions to giving giving addresses based on the driveway location. Roads, developers can submit requests to our office for road names. Again, we don't duplicate any road names, and because we want every road name to be different. Even if you give a different road type or a suffix, we're not going to approve that. So if you have, Guthrie Road that goes down the middle of your subdivision, and then at the end you've got a little cul-de-sac that might have 5 houses on it, well, we're not going to give you Guthrie Court. We just don't duplicate those. So. Some developments in the county, or usually in the county, have difficult driveways to navigate, and I might be going a little bit too far into what this committee would be looking at. This has been addressed with development services planning. We have just found that when people cut up lots out in the county, that maybe they'll want to give 5 or 10 lots out off of Highway 25 or wherever. And they have a gravel driveway that's going to access all these, and it's just the conditions are not suitable for public safety. So we have gone back and we've asked that any access point that's going to have 3 or more houses located on that access point, let's just name that a private road. Or if the county wants to approve a public road, let's do that. But when you start having 3 or more houses on one access point, it becomes a little more difficult. And I'll just show you a couple of pictures of what I'm talking about. So this was done before I took over the office. This is 593 PD Branch Road. You can see there are about 10 addresses that have A through J or whatever out through there. And it's awful. So let's assume for a minute that the family goes out and they want to, family here at G, let's say they have an ailing family member or something, they want to put up an ADU out there. So I have to give an address for that for 911 purposes. So how do I give an address that's between G and H or F and G? It's not possible. So that's one reason why we want to get away from all the letters, and we want to have unique addresses for every point that we put on a map. So at this point, this is something that I would have said, hey, you need to make that a private road or get permission to have a public road out there, and let's have unique addresses for every lot. Here's another one, 1843 Garrison Branch. Same thing. We want to get away from those letters. Just makes things much cleaner and the potential for expansion in the future. This is Roney Creek Private Court. This is out off Highway 25. We just did this one a few months ago. We were presented with the plan and they said, hey, we want 6 lots out here on this piece of land. And you can see the center line up there where it says Roney Creek Private Court. That was going to be the access point off Highway 25. So we went back and said, no, we really want you to have a private road out there. And they complied. No issues there at all. So then we were able to give unique addresses to each lot that was presented. A couple more things here. This is Keytown Farms off Keytown Road. You can see the gravel drive that accesses, I don't know, 10 or 12, no, more than that, 13 or 14 lots out there. This is a pretty steep hill going up on the picture on the right, and you can just imagine an ambulance or a fire truck trying to navigate that. So I think some consideration would need to be given to the quality of the roadway or access point that accesses these lots. Here's another one, 1500 block of Garrison Branch. By the way, they've done an excellent job of marking which way you go to 1537 and 1541, which is one request that if there's anything you can sink your teeth into there, that you would require new homes to have a clearly marked address where public safety can see it.
Well, you stole my question.
Yes, yeah. So on the picture on the right, that's a 180-degree turn. An ambulance might not have too bad of an issue turning there, but you get an engine up there, they're not going to make that turn. Yeah. At the very top up there on the right, that's about a 90-degree turn and a big drop off on the left side of the road. My car with 4-wheel drive was okay getting up there, but there's no way in an emergency a fire truck's going to get up there. Same thing here.
My brother bought a piece of like that, got a road like that.
18.
I bet he didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you wouldn't think about that. Normally, you're just thinking, oh, this is a pretty piece of land up here, but you don't think about the worst case scenario when you need those emergency services. So here's another example, 1843 Garrison Branch, just a tight turn there. It was a lot tighter than the previous picture that I had shown you. This is Roney Creek Private Court. They have since gone back and paved this, so it's much more navigable. But there was no way that I could get up that in a Ford Explorer without putting it in all-wheel drive. So I know that an ambulance or a fire truck's not going to get up there. So the quality of the roads is one thing to consider. And that's it. Here's our map there. This is just kind of what we put out to our first responders to make it easier for them to navigate and to find the location that they're going to. I think it's very important that we have clearly defined addresses. We don't duplicate street names, but also for the things that you might be able to consider is having those markers to where public safety can see those quickly and not have to guess, hey, where is 1843 compared to 1862 or something. So.
Well, I'll start with a couple of questions I've got.
Absolutely.
Kind of includes you and Marshall here. What is the requirements for new construction as far as displaying name drag? Because I don't know. I mean, I'm in this industry and I still don't know.
Yeah, it's required for new construction, and the brush strokes have to be so wide, and the numbers have to be so tall. They have to be posted on the mailbox front of public right of way. But there are so many houses that don't have addresses that there's a need to send out notifications that it's a requirement, in my opinion.
I agree with you. We just need to figure out.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll get into that in a minute. But on this, these entrances that are outside of subdivisions and the water features, now they've got addresses. Is there any? And the reason why I'm asking this, I'll get to in a minute. are they required to display that address anywhere? Is this something that's in there now? Because if they're not, then we gotta carve out an exclusion somewhere if we're gonna require that all the addresses be posted. I'm just kinda thinking ahead, wouldn't you think, Steve, that,
Yes, I'm just gonna guess here that, if it's not there's nobody on the premises, that you don't need to have an address posted anywhere. That's my guess. I'm not for certain though on that.
You're exactly right. Really, my main focus of an address is for 911 purposes,
Yes.
right? A meter is not going to automatically dial 911. There are telephone boxes in some subdivisions. Five Coves Trace is the first one I think about. It's a gated subdivision. And there is a telephone number that's associated with that gate. So technically, someone could call 911 from that. But for a utility address, no.
I just didn't know if it would be something that would be beneficial, or if we had to specifically carve that out and whatever you come up with. And talking about that, how would this be enforceable? Say we create a mandate I don't know, we try to get all the public involved in getting all these addresses out there. How do we enforce it if they don't, Steve? Or-
Todd and I had a conversation before the meeting, and the thing that we would like to do is send out notifications like every 3 years or something, reminding people that it's a county requirement. As far as going and enforcing it, that would be difficult to do countywide, but we want to let them know that it's a requirement now that needs to be done.
It's public safety. I mean,
Yeah, it'd be
I mean,
enforced just like any other health and safety standard, like, junk cars or,
have to go through the whole
photographs or-
judicial process of, okay.
That's how I would think it'd be handled.
And my final question, in order to push the public to do this, to get everybody on board, what kind of a budget is in place to create this campaign, to go out here and encourage people, to help those people that for some reason or another don't have the means to be able to put numbers on their mailbox or their house or whatever's required? Is there a budget in place for this?
So from the ECD perspective, there are specific things that we shall not spend money on. One of them is markers. So we're out there.
So we need we need the county commission to get involved to create a budget for this.
Well, we've been in conversation with the local post office too, and they're willing to help to a certain degree whenever they can. Right now, we're not sure what that is, but they think it's a great idea, and they want to support it. What kind of support right now, I don't know, but they're wanting to participate in this.
Well, I personally, I like it. I think it's much needed. Honestly, it's a big deal.
Are we sure we want to pay for that? Where I came from before I moved here, the city actually created a thing where you were required to have your address numbers posted and prominently, and if you didn't, you could get a ticket of some kind, right? How much does it cost them to go out and for their one property, go get some numbers, put them on a board and stick them on a tree or something, right? But when you times that by all the places that you'd be responsible for paying for, okay, there's a big difference. It's a small.
No, I'm talking about a budget as far as sending information and getting information to the public.
Oh, that, I thought you
needs
were
to-
for putting up the signs. I'm sorry.
For the, yes.
That's what I get for coming in late.
No, I'm with,
But anyway, well, for the other thing, if that ever comes up, make them pay for the numbers.
yeah. I mean, it's a big county, there's a lot of people, and getting it out is gonna be a challenge.
Yeah.
One thing that we did put in the resolution is what Mike said is about directional signs. I think it's a great idea, Mike, because not only do you need an address out front if you're going in a private gravel road and there may be 8 houses on it and the road splits 3 times.
Yes.
You don't know which road to take, but if you had a directional sign showing this way, then I think that's a great idea. I'd like to see if we can incorporate that in there.
And we do tell people in situations like that, hey, if you have this private drive that's gonna be going up and then splitting off, then we recommend that wherever it splits, that you put some sort of a marker there to point which way your address goes. And so, but there again, there's nothing really to sink our
Do
teeth
you
into.
have any data on how many houses or how many properties would be out of compliance right now? Like, do you keep track of that?
So we don't keep track of it. Yeah, if we happen to go out and do a site visit for something, yeah, but it's crazy to say, but in different parts of the county, it's different. You know, you get the more the really rural areas, it's a little worse, but, you know, in other areas, it's not so bad.
Okay.
But no data to track.
It would be great if we did somehow or another start, possibly, if it's possible, to track some of that. So we've got some hardcore figures to fall back on, you know, because everybody, when we get into these things, wants to see the facts and the data. So, I mean, I don't know if that's feasible, if that's something, you know, you guys can keep track of, but it'd be good to have, I think. I mean, that's,
Maybe make it a requirement for a real estate transaction. If they don't have it, then
That's
as that
right. Put it
property
on
is
us.
sold,
put it on the real estate
Well, I was
people.
hoping it would be the post office because they're the ones seeing the same post box every day.
That's a great point, Todd.
But Marshall, we really didn't get that cooperation. It was like, hey, we'll help you so you can get the postal, the little piece for 8 cents a piece or whatever it's gonna cost, but we're not gonna ask our guys who are delivering mail to deliver this into every unmarked post office, a post box, which I was hoping it looked like. They did not.
So we just need to,
So it's coming back on us a little bit to do that.
which I figured probably as much as that it would when you're, but, I mean, I think it's very doable, very worthwhile, and, I mean, I can only imagine what a nightmare it is for those guys out there trying to figure it out, and you're in a tense situation. You know, if they can't find the house next to you, and I'm next to me and I'm in trouble, that affects me, so I think it's a great thing. Brian, I know you've got some.
No, actually, I don't.
Really? Anybody else? Anything to add to that?
You talked about utility addresses, what would you, exactly what is that, Mike, utility address?
So it's just, if somebody needs to put a meter out for something that's not associated with a dwelling. So it could just be, like I said, an electrical or a lit up sign at the beginning of a subdivision, or it could be a water tap for a fountain somewhere in a subdivision. So we get a lot of requests from Comcast if they're going to put an electrical box out somewhere, or some sort of a junction box or something, they'll want an address for that. So,
Would you like to see utility addresses as part of the requirement of this?
I don't think that would necessarily be important for us. Now, for inspections, I don't know if you have to do any inspections for anything like that, but that may be helpful for you. And, you know, the addresses are still in sequential order, so we're not just randomly picking an address and giving it. It goes along with the rest of the addresses on that road. So if that would help you for location of inspection for some reason, then that may be a
It should be a condition, a certificate of occupancy.
That I agree with. And there's one thing that everybody in this county does, that owns a home, has a property here, is we pay taxes on it every year. So when those tax statements went out, if we could put some notices in there, I mean, I think with all the resources we got, this all could be
Yeah.
very doable.
That's a good idea. Attach it to the tax.
Yeah, I mean, just a nice note in there, hey, you're not getting tax break, but we would like to see some address. Okay, anything else, guys?
Well, I got a break point here, since we have a quorum now, I'd recommend adopting an agenda.
Well, I guess we could go ahead and approve these minutes and everything.
And all that stuff, yeah.
Mike, did you want to stay, or you got somebody you need to be, or what? Just
If you all need me to stay, I'm happy to stay, and otherwise,
No.
I'll get out of your way and.
I like it. I assume we'll be working together on this in the future somehow or another and trying to put this together. I think it's very worthwhile.
Yeah,
So,
anything that we can contribute, then we certainly want to do that. We can try to get you some stats, you know, as we see things around the county, but.
just any little points of data that we can say, hey, man, this caused an issue because of that. Anything you got to kind of back up what we're pushing to do here, so.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We'll try to put something together for you on that, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, thank you all.
Well, Mr. Mooneyham, let's back up now. I gotta act like a chairman again. So we call this meeting back to order, or to order. We've already done our invocation, our pledge. Has everybody had a chance to read over the minutes from the last meeting? Do I hear a motion to approve our minutes from the last meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion made, do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve our agenda for tonight?
motion.
Bruce makes a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Nobody here from the public. I have nothing to report. Old business. We're under new business. Let's move on to new business. Discussion of countywide requirements. We've done that. All right, Marshall, you can get back into this, or Todd, what we were discussing before?
Yeah.
We lost everybody, didn't we?
Todd, I want to yield the floor to you, and you know about where we left off last time?
I do.
Yeah.
I don't, so.
Should have it. I think it's on page 11.
Brian's heard of it. He's got his,
We didn't have page 11.
Yeah, let's see. Let me ask a quick
Are
question.
we still looking at the old stuff? We going to the
There's
new?
still some stuff in prior pages like blight and stuff that we wanted to have more discussion about.
Well, we had, on page 6, I know we can do blight too if you want to, Jim.
Yeah, yeah. But, yeah, I did read through every last page of this thing, and I made all kinds of notes and suggestions, and just the things to bring up to this person thought, okay? So I know we talked a lot, well, I'll start with blight, if you don't mind, okay? And there was something, shall we add more to the definition, such as rental property and stuff? But I was looking at several different blight definitions in a couple of different places, and there's some things that seem to come up all the time, and I don't know if you didn't want to get this wordy about it, but blight in terms of property, hazardous, unattractive, structurally unsafe condition, unkempt landscaping, rundown homes. We can actually break it down into different categories with more specific words for them. And then also deteriorating rental properties.
I think the issue, I don't mean to interrupt, but the issue of making it more specific is that you could leave something out that would be otherwise be considered blight, and that's why it's more general. I think that was the idea.
Catch-all?
Yeah, and that was, I didn't,
Well, I mean, but we could have put a such as.
or not including but not limited to.
Yes, right,
Whatever.
perfect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as many of these things that we want to add, I think, could be useful. And then what did you have? You were at page 6, right? The next one you had? Let me see what you
Yeah,
said.
let's see, real quick. Did we decide on what we wanted to do about the, let's see, wait a minute. The days for a permanent basis? Talking about living in a mobile home, camper or whatnot. We had the time frame of 45 consecutive days, and that's considered a permanent basis. Did y'all have a problem with 45 days? Is that fine?
now, go,
If I come to your house, Barry, and I'm gonna camp
Park in the
out,
driveway.
See if you're there for
45
45 days.
you my uncle, I'm gonna hang out with Barry, but after about 45 days, am I living there on a permanent basis? Cause then your neighbor's gonna go, nah, man, he's not leaving. He's either renting him or something.
well,
And that,
my mind goes to, for example, being in the industry, Tennessee Uniform Landlord Act, Tennessee law determines somebody after 14 days has set up residency, so then I could, so 14 days, consecutive days. So I mean, now you can look at it, 45 days seems like you're being more than generous.
I get the sad story about, hey, my dad has had a stroke, and my son's the only one can help me because I'm too old, and he's coming to help out, and so that's the reality of what I see.
And which,
And
Well, how many days did you say?
14.
well, I mean, 14, I'm just looking at it from, so, I mean, that's kind of just wherever you want to set it, I think.
Well, what about 14 days, but in approved extenuating circumstances, up to a maximum of 45?
I would say start it at 45, and if you've got extenuating circumstances, then you could possibly extend
I'm
that.
always gonna have the area to go gray.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah.
up to discretion.
I mean, on that,
And at the discretion
I
of the
wouldn't put it
county,
to
I
discretion,
guess,
man.
right?
You need a cap.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, but there ain't no way to move people out. let's say I'm mad at you because you moved there and I'm like, this guy's not agreeing with nothing. I send this up to litigation, we'll have to get a warrant filed, we may get that within a year, maybe not. And then with that time, we get a court day afterwards. We got problems with staffing as far as getting
Yeah.
sheriffs out for matters such as that, they're covered up.
Yeah.
Can this be associated any way with, this might sound awful, but with squatters? I mean, you're talking about, here's the primary residence, you're talking about you need help with granddad or whatever got a stroke. Somebody whips in a camper and just starts staying there. I mean, will they, at some point in time, 'cause they've been there so long, do they, like a squatter, then all of a sudden get rights to
Well, they're
that
squatters
chunk of
staying-
property?
depends whether they're staying with the permission of the landlord or not. I think they're.
Yeah, that would mean that,
Well, that means there needs to be all sorts of documentation in it, that they're
Well,
a tenant.
there's
You're
no-
right, Brian, that's sort of,
A tenant,
that's a
not-
thing I don't run into that much. I've had one, and the guy did move out, that's recently, up in Westmoreland, but it's not, as far as percentage of what I do, I don't see that hardly ever. What I do see is a lot of people, and my son, he went through a divorce, and, you know, I don't have no place for him, but he's got this camper, and as soon as he gets a place,
Yeah,
and
I
that's easy
totally
enough.
get that.
If I came to your house and stayed and received a piece of mail at your house, I've legally set up tenancy, so now you've got to evict me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of ways around so,
but then Barry's got COVID, so he's not gonna get evicted because.
yeah, I'm sick, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I just don't want, I just
Well,
don't want
then-
landowners getting in
Then
trouble
you can't collect
because
your money from them, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of odd.
they extend, you know.
Personally,
People
I-
get in trouble because they decide to be kind, you know.
I personally am
That's
fine
all
with
I'm
the way you've got that stated at the
Okay.
45, but if everybody else is
Fine with
over
me.
there.
Okay, I'm just gonna say leave it,
Leave it as is.
45, okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Should there be an exemption for someone that's building a home on a property? Where they've
There
got
already is
contractors
one.
coming in?
Yeah, there is one, and you can live in a camper as long as your house is under construction
And you're
30
permitted.
days after completion.
So-
Now, insert something.
So if you're, oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's always been department policy
Mhm.
of what you said, but I don't think we've got language for that. I think that language needs to go in there.
As far as permitted for the camper one construction,
Yeah.
oh, I'm 100% on that, yeah, you need to be
It's
permitted.
been department policy for years, but we don't have any
Or
wording on
let's,
it.
let's put language for that in the health and, safety. And we'll just use whatever existing language you've got for
For
permitting.
what, you gonna permit the camper to be
Oh,
on?
Just like we do now, they come in and sign an affidavit when they get the permit to build a house, that they can live in a temporary travel trailer, motor home, but they have to vacate it 30 days after they get their CO. We can put something similar to that as an add-on addendum to what y'all just talked about.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
What's up next?
Structure, I have on there, on page 8, at the very end, it says this term, this term does not include structures built solely for occupation by animals. I think that needs to be deleted because we do barns as accessory structure. I mean, this is my own, cut my own stuff out. I think we shouldn't have that there, just delete it.
Todd, you're gonna make me cry, I'm proud of you.
Hey, man, you get deep in the weeds with these things.
Yeah.
You with me?
I'm 100%.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then I think one y'all were discussing was, these are all definitions. What is the acceptable definition of a yard? And this went back to what are you gonna be responsible for as far as cutting it and whatnot. I think that's what that's.
Yeah, that was the cutting deal. Feet, you got off
We do, if you got a farm or a big lot, I see everybody doing this without nobody telling them to do it. They cut a big 50-foot swatch around And you can go down like Cummins Lane, there's 3 or 4 that do that. And then those that like to have it all mowed. It looks nicer and neat when it's all, but they're 5-acre lots, and I don't expect that. But I like seeing a little bit of, you know, around the edges, but this right here, this yard, we're just basically talking about what is a yard, you know, what constitutes a yard, and you may own more, but if we minimize what a yard is, 250 feet, then if I say, hey, you need to cut your grass, and they say, well, I measured it, we've got 250 feet, taking care of the rest of it, I don't care about.
Well, let me help you on this, because a yard's actually 3 feet, so let's just leave it at that.
That's right. Our meter.
Yeah, that's a good, I mean, we probably do need to tighten that up to where we know exactly what, and I don't have an idea on that as we speak. Anybody else?
I don't know the language of a yard is mentioned in here. Do we need a yard? People know what a yard is, premises or
Any lawn area that
lot? I don't think I have a definition for a lot.
I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's, a yard is something, I mean, you might have not 250, you might have 200, you know, a large part on one side and the side is fenced off on the other side, so having one big 250, you know, foot, I don't know how other jurisdictions might handle this. Maybe searching around to other, you
I agree.
know, places to see how they handle that might be useful.
kind of, do we need to be exact on that, do you think, though?
I think Marshall was looking at building, the IRC was mentioning when you build a home and to get certificate of occupancy, you have a certain amount that you have to have landscaped or covered or strawed or what have you, and he was wanting them to speak the same, but I don't necessarily.
Any area of normal routine maintenance around the home is what they're,
But like when you build a home, you got all that mud and everything, and before he's gonna let you in there, you're gonna be seeding straw.
yep.
But that's not necessary. I'm not gonna have a problem in property maintenance with a brand new home.
No,
It's gonna be established. That's my world.
So if you got rid of the yard definition here,
Wouldn't
for
bother me.
example, you know, and you just said yard somewhere else about you gotta mow your yard or whatever, I mean, yard in its ordinary usage might be the best way to go about doing that.
if we come up with a minimum footage that must be maintained back of the house, on each side of the house, I mean, minimum, you must maintain at least 15 feet off of each side of your house.
Y'all would love this one. I got this brother got a divorce, and so she took my lawnmower, man. So and my boat and everything. It was so funny. She got all the good stuff, the chainsaw. So my boy is cutting swatches through his yard to his front door to his garage, and it's checked. But he ain't mowing the whole thing. He ain't doing it.
Well,
He's going to, but I mean, it's just hysterical what reality is.
Oh, believe
People
me.
are like, well,
I
could
see a
say,
lot of stuff.
well, I got 50 feet in front of my house, but the rest of it, I'm gonna tell you, it's crazy. Yeah, people are funny.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, sir. What Ty was referring to about the yard and the building codes, what we have in the building codes is the yard is considered 50 foot around the perimeter of the house or to the property line, whichever one comes first, is basically what it says.
Well, yeah, then that would be the technical definition that should be in there, right?
Well,
No.
the issue
No?
is you might run into like a pasture or something, be a fence, and there's like some cow field or
I
there's.
got an
I mean,
acre
there's-
and a half, and I'm gonna measure out 50 feet, and I'm not gonna take care of the rest of it.
Okay. I
See what I'm saying, Barry?
Yeah. Well,
So then I'm gonna have a mess down to the street. But my 50 feet in front of my house, which is not much further than this room here, I'd say maybe another 15. That's all I'm gonna take care of. That ain't cool if I got a neighbor who's taking care of their stuff.
Well, maybe the frontage, you know, to the beginning of the property up to the entrance to the home, that should be kept, no matter how.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how long it is. So, you know, something like that, and reasonable amount around, I don't know the language yet, but around the home.
all right, Bruce. Thoughts on this one?
Well, I don't know how you specify a specific amount, because my son lives over on Park. His lot isn't 250 feet across.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start saying 250 feet, it's like, his lot isn't 250 feet deep.
Yeah.
So,
You make it a ratio?
yeah, I was gonna say that it needs
That's
to be
acreage.
more in line with.
This is a big thing for me though, the grass. So if we
Well, Brian
start
just had a brilliant
minimizing how
solution to
much
that.
you're
That's a
gonna,
good idea.
That's a good idea, a
That's a good
ratio,
idea,
a
yeah.
percentage of that property that must be maintained. You own 20 acres and, you know, within reason, unless it's agriculture, you've got the percentage. If you're gonna do it and keep it equitable, as we say.
I mean, because when you build, your zoning tells you exactly how much house you can put on so much acreage, you know?
right?
So why not just do the same thing with maintenance of,
Being me, I'm driving around and this guy's got so much on this side and this guy's got so much over here. This guy don't cut his grass down to the street and it looks like crap, but his percentage is met. This guy is doing a good job. What I need is just cut your grass like your neighbors, make it look nice when you're driving down. I don't wanna be thinking of 250 feet.
Well, I understand.
I don't think it's realistic. It's a nice idea.
You don't wanna break out the percentages charts and see if
No,
that.
man, I won't say, look, dude, your yard looks terrible, period. And if it's a big yard,
Yeah.
it's a big yard, so just cut it around your property
As
line,
well as this.
so if your guy wants to cut his down, he can cut it down and you can give me 50 feet and I can see what you're doing. Your house looks good up there. It's a big old fat house, but you don't wanna mow all day, so I
So-
get it.
What language do you think,
I think
Personally-
we don't really need to even address it. You don't know when I send you a letter that please cut your grass?
just leave it up to discretion?
Yeah,
I
you,
mean,
leave
it's
it
like
out
water
there.
steward say, I know what a yard is when I see it.
you got a 15,
how do you enforce
15 inch
something?
minimum.
Well, Todd, if
Well,
you're willing to take anything like that out of there, I'm all about simplicity, so yes.
Me too, I don't want,
You thinking this, keeping this pretty much the same way it is?
No,
She's
no.
talking about
I'm
eliminating.
right.
eliminate it?
Okay, so, but, you know, it says here in all directions at a property line. I think whatever we do, we should require that, you know,
but this is not,
frontage.
this is not a code.
It's
This
not
is
a
a
code.
definition.
It's, oh.
See, this is where we get
Oh.
screwed up in here. We're trying to make a definition of code.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't think
We're just
that's-
saying
Let's
what
look at
is
the
the
definition,
yard.
so when we find that word within a code, we know what the
Yeah,
heck
but
is going
everybody
on.
knows, when I tell you cut, you got high vegetation, grass and whatnot, you know what that is.
Well, I
It's not your
understand, but I'm just
yard.
saying, if a person ever wants to challenge anything that you have to say, if there's nothing written down, nothing codified, then you have no leg to stand on, besides, it's subjective because you thought it was too high.
No, it's 15 inches. It's
Well,
above
that is
15
true.
inches.
That
So
is
you
true.
wanna,
15
do you wanna
Well,
get
then, I mean,
rid
if
of
that's,
this
if
last
that's
sentence?
it, then that's it.
I like
you know,
it, I say, do exactly what you're thinking,
But-
so, you know,
Strike
anytime.
the last
Anytime you take subjectivity out of something, the better off it is.
Yeah.
Strike the last sentence? Yeah,
Strike
yeah,
all of
Todd?
it.
All of it.
All of it?
Just
Okay.
rip it out.
Yeah.
Jim?
Because if it's just a definition, you know, the word shall.
Yeah, we'll
You
come-
shall do this is not a definition, it's a directive, right?
I mean, everybody can figure out what a, I mean, you just look it up in the dictionary, what a yard
Yeah.
is, you know, or,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, a yard's a yard.
I mean, Todd keeps going, I'm gonna have to buy him supper tonight. This is
Oh,
like-
heck, yeah. Where did we, let's see, where
Yeah, man.
we got to 11 last time. How about that part about the farm? Terry, his dad owned a farm when he was a kid, and he said some of these bush hogs are 20 foot wide or 8 foot, 14. What do y'all think about around the farm? That's on number 2 of page 10. I'm flexible. Everybody seems to do 2 laps around. It looks like about 50 feet to me already. I'm not having a problem with it, but if y'all want to feel like you're pulling it in, it's
I
fine.
mean, if you're not having a problem with it, I don't,
If it's, you're not having a problem, then evidently what's there's working, right?
Right, but I mean, this is how far, come on guys, y'all know that. What is that, 15 feet to the wall?
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. If you can't tell somebody is making an effort to cut the grass and show me their property line
Yeah.
back this way,
let me ask you, and this might be a really dumb question, but
no,
I'm asking.
smart. I know you are.
Does the county, do they employ people right now that goes out and cuts the utility easement on county roads?
I don't know, but they don't cut the ditch.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because if we already have people going out there and cutting that, are you asking for the person to cut from utility easement into their yard another
No,
50 feet?
here's what I'm asking.
Or is it just
It's
50
like-
feet from the asphalt?
No, like, your new neighborhood, within the last 5, 10 years, got some nice fat houses here, but hey, I'm Farmer Joe and I still wanna keep my farm, I ain't selling out. However, my property line is right here, I'm gonna give you 50 feet so you can't cry about snakes, rattles,
Okay.
you know, rats and whatnot. I'm gonna show you that I'm giving you respect, but I'm not cutting all this, cause I may be feeding my cows
Sure.
with this here.
Sure.
That's it, it's not down to the road
No,
that I'm worried about, it's the side.
50 feet's fine.
Well, 20 feet.
And I-
15 feet, like you said, whatever, that's,
I know, that's why I'm open, y'all tell me if you want me to pull that in, that's fine with me, it work, I mean, that's a
15
lot.
feet sounds great to me, that shows
I
that,
think 20 feet.
Well, at least
would be
then you
okay.
need, you got the 15 inches and 15 feet,
Yeah.
just keep it all 15.
yeah,
It's easier to remember that way, dude.
I
There's
know,
that.
I'm good, I'm open.
it's the rule of 15, that's.
15?
15, okay, that's the
Okay.
agreement.
Alright,
Okay.
see.
What page are we on now?
We talked about,
11.
percentage of state of dilapidation. These are about buildings and structures in violation because exteriors and whatnot have not been maintained. And
Yes.
we just kind of rolled around with that, unsure. And I don't have really, the expertise in that is gonna come from Marshall.
What page are you on?
11.
Cause I'll roll around, I'll say, hey, that thing looks bad, and it's gonna have to be real bad before I'm gonna say anything.
Well, now, look, I'm just gonna show you this right quick. I had to go out, because I brought this up last time, and I had to go back out and visit this property again, to do a final. This is not the subject house, this is their next door neighbor. Now, you got people who have put,
That's a hallway, ain't it? But that's,
well, yeah, but that's
no, man.
deteriorating wood, and you got to see inside the house.
Dude, that's very livable where in the world I live in.
Well, I understand, but, no, the only reason I bring this up is because we were talking about that, and by the definition or whatever, of
Yeah.
deterioration, it was talking about seeing inside the house.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you see right there,
You
but then
10
look at
years
the
away
foundation
from a
of
code
wood.
violation letter
Yeah.
right there, you right.
You got a long way
The
to go.
reason I bring that up is because, and you got folks that are trying to invest in their own property and make their house nice.
Yes.
But they won't ever see the value out of that house if we allow people that live around them. I understand you can do whatever you want on your own property. But if we're gonna sit there and allow people just to do this, then that person who takes pride in theirs will never see the value in their property because their neighbors are gonna look like this.
I agree, cause they're poor and they can't.
Well, I'm not saying, no, that's not always it. It's
There's a lot.
it is a lot, but a lot of it's also lazy and I just don't give a crap.
Well, I get that, Brian.
There's a lot of
I
that.
agree, I agree.
But
anyway,
because I
think
choose
that
to.
his
But I just
grass,
saw
you
that
look at
picture
grass.
and that house right there, and I was like, well, that's a prime example
But look
of.
at the grass. I mean, what I
Yeah, they can
struggle
afford a
with
lawnmower. and
is
mow
you
their
can't see
grass.
that house because it hadn't been cut in 3 years. And we can't get nothing done because we can't find out who it is, but that's another scenario, but that's drama to me, to people who are next door to that, you know, who are on the commission, who are saying, why can't you do nothing with this house?
I think the question is, to what extent does the dilapidation pose a risk to the health and safety of people who live there or the public at large?
Yes, so if we look at this house right here, exactly how much of this house has got, that wall
One thing we
has
decided,
got to look like that
we need to be able to
before
assign
we
a
say.
percentage of deterioration that would trigger an action. So I think that's where we came up to last time. One thing we can't do is we can't let people decide that they found some cheap land over here where there's some houses. I'm gonna put a $3 million house over here and I'm gonna force everybody to
Oh,
bring their
sure.
stuff up to standard.
Yeah,
And
no
it's
doubt about
happening
it.
too
I mean,
much. This
it is
is happening too much because they don't see that.
Correct. While they're,
They just see the land and build, and then they go, I want you to get rid of that.
correct.
It's like building next
This
to the
right
airport,
here is
complaining
owned by
about the
Benny
noise.
Bills.
Yes.
It's very suburban,
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an edit suggestion on
Where
this,
you at?
on this one, okay? So in my mind, and I
Number
wrote it out
4,
here because I read
page
every
11.
one of these pages.
Okay.
It would say, buildings and structures, the same way it does, shall be considered in violation of healthy and safety standards if, and then I would add after the if, under the definition of blight, and keep it the same way, and to the point where it says, in such a manner as to prevent them from, and then I would insert further deterioration. That's all I would do with that. What do you
I
think?
think we're putting too much on the definition of blight. We're
Well,
talking about roof systems and drains and gutters and everything hanging
Okay.
down, and like Brian was showing, you got a hole in the wall, why ain't you fixing the hole in the
well,
wall?
where does that meet blight? Somewhere along the way if it gets too bad.
They don't have to.
Yeah, okay.
It's just a dilapidation.
Well,
It's
then
more
the second part of this, just add the word further, prevent them from further deterioration. Okay?
What do you
Just-
mean?
Here, where it says, the exteriors of said structures are, let's see, are not maintained in such a manner as to prevent them, oh, you got further.
Yes.
Okay, that wasn't in the first one, I see you put it. Never mind. When did you do this?
Just now.
We fixed that one.
Well, anyway,
It was before you got
Hey, I was
here.
listening last time, I'm trying to.
yeah, I'm proud that I
And it'll
embraced
be
my
changed
suggestion
next
match.
time, yeah,
I
but, so,
should pay more attention.
anybody got an idea on percentage, lower, better? Brian kinda makes me feel like the 30% is enough, but, I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to see it.
I'm gonna tell you, I
I'd
need
say
to hire
this-
somebody for me.
25%, because, I mean, if you're looking at a quarter of a structure
Look
being
at
in a-
Brian's picture and tell me what you think that is.
That's a rental
Show him that
property.
picture.
Oh,
Well, you can zoom in or do whatever you want to. But I mean, you got on that wall and then down over here, I mean, that's wood, that's rotten
Yeah.
wood.
Yeah.
That thing's gonna start falling, that floor is gonna start falling in if that wood is just exposed and keeps rotting.
Mm-hmm.
But
In my
anyway.
world, it's got windows in the roof.
Oh, dear Lord.
And he cut the grass. I know, dude. You want me to send you some? I need to send you some pictures, Brian.
Oh, I see it, I drive all over the county,
You do.
seeing these properties, having appraised properties. And I look at some of them like, dear
It's
Lord.
sad, man.
It
Y'all
is.
have
I go
dog-
inside some of them where the floor joists are just completely rotted out, so if the floor is
Oh, yeah?
sloped towards the crawl
Yeah.
space.
I've got a
it's-
lady living in one right now. Only thing holding it on is the Chester drawers.
I walked in the house and it looked like the angle in.
Down
knocked
under
in
the
over.
house.
It was like that, everything was falling into the middle of the
Yeah.
house.
I've been to many of them. It's,
But,
And so, see, in my world, we have a hard time. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. We got a lot of stuff on houses, dilapidation and stuff, and I wrote it in there. But I don't know when can do that.
yeah.
I mean, what I do now, I do 7, 8 a day, maybe, and this could open up Pandora's box. But we also know that Barry says when you're gone, or maybe we get some more money allocated, and there's 3 of us,
yeah,
it needs to be where y'all like it to say.
but it needs to be written out, whether that adds, and we don't wanna add more
Not,
to your plate, but if it's written down,
yes,
if that time ever does come across, and wants to challenge it, you can always just point them, hey, it's in the,
see, my I hear exactly what you said, my perspective is that house, at least he's cutting the grass, and somebody can live in there.
now,
I mean,
the
but-
30 to 40 to 45%, I'm like him, he said a quarter, that's a lot of it. What
That's
I
a
would
lot
say
of
is of one wall, like you just see the front of that house, is it,
So you're more
is it
like-
10 to 20%
You're more
of,
like 10%?
of what you see? You know, obviously not
Guys,
the
we
whole
gotta-
dadgum house, that'd be 20%.
We gotta be
maintenance.
mindful, some of these folks that live out in these places, they own that property, that's the way they choose to live. And they might not have the money to make these repairs, and so we can't be putting an undue hardship on them, as long as they're mowing their grass and they're doing things that they can do, and we don't want to be,
No, I completely understand that. I mean, I don't ever want to tell somebody, and that's why I hate about this a little bit, I don't want to tell somebody what they have to do with their own property.
Sure,
That is like a
thank you.
daggum
That's-
HOA, and I can't stand it.
yep.
But at the same time, you gotta have something written down, you gotta
How
have
do
some
you,
kind of
the
law.
question is, how would you prove this? If I were to take something like this to court saying, This house, say 25% is the number.
Okay.
Well, it's 24% dilapidated.
Oh, that's easy.
I mean, how would you even,
We'd have an assessed value of the home and then have what it would cost to make repairs, and if that
Cost
value, it was more than 25% of the value of the home, then they're,
okay.
So where we gonna get money to have those assessments and
well,
appraisals?
you ought to have a program, Bruce could pop that in his little computer in about 2
There you
seconds.
go, I can tell
Well,
you.
you got
how much
Xactimate? You have Xactimate program?
No, but there's
I
other
don't
things
have
out
Exact-
there.
I've actually used Xactimate a lot back in the day.
I did too.
Because if you're gonna have
back
a
in the day.
percentage here, it's gonna be, you have to prove this, like I have to tell the judge,
Yeah.
okay, it's 25%, and here's why, and this is how we arrived at it.
And so what we're basing this on is visual, right? Now, there may be more than 25% of damage, but we're talking about just what we can see,
Yeah, we can't go
Obviously,
on
when
the
we get in there,
property.
there's gonna be rotted floor, drawer, all kinds of stuff, but go ahead, Marshall.
Mr. Chairman, I like for y'all to consider putting something in there as to who makes the determination, whether it's whatever y'all agree on, whether it's a home inspector or a government inspector or something. Somebody's gonna have to make that determination.
Yeah, just put it in there that upon, his judgment to hire a third party.
I don't know if you can't go enter onto the property though, beyond what you can just see from the street, right, is that? the
Yeah, and I
issue?
don't know how I can hire you, Brian, to go look on somebody's property without their
That's
permission for
true.
you to do
Very
so.
Okay.
true.
So
And I
you
ain't
need
gonna
a-
get shot.
You got that
Nobody.
right.
I ain't getting
Everybody's got a gun.
In order to do that, then it would have to be in our office, that you'd have to have a program where you could pop, this is square footage on that house, this is what I see in damage, does this come up to, if we're gonna assign a percentage. So, you're right, in order to assign a percentage, we've got to be able to prove that, so,
And the burden of proof is on
the people that are, yeah.
beyond a reasonable doubt, because it's a criminal charge for not abiding by these regulations.
So, without assigning a percentage, what could you use to justify an action?
I guess I could say something, and I'm gonna loosely say it, the health and safety of occupants deemed,
Deemed that it may be in jeopardy, or it looks egregious from the outside, whatever you.
something like it, I don't know.
I think that you would almost have to leave it that broad in order to keep you from having a lot more work on your plate. But that'd be a steep question there, in my opinion. What would you suggest?
So what, like,
There's gotta be a standard.
one one
Yeah.
of the issues we have that's got ongoing, that's not the same but similar, is on Dobbins Pike, where this guy without permit built this whole two-story thing.
Yeah.
It never was permitted, it never was inspected, it never had electrical inspection or plumbing, and it's even over on the neighbor's property. See, I don't know if we would even kick this provision in on that, whether it's dilapidated, it is dilapidated, and there's no stairs and all kinds of code
Now, the
violations.
neighbor's got a
Spring-
cloud on their deed. That's
She
bad.
can't, she's quiet, she don't scare this dude. Anyway, it's getting to go to court, and it's taken 3 years though. Okay, so that's what that looks like, and hopefully we're gonna be able to get that demolished. But when you.
We hope.
Yeah, and you don't, like this right here, we're hoping that we can, inspire the owner to repair something that they're not repairing on their own time frame. But,
Then-
yeah, but it's in here, it doesn't have to be in here, but it is in here.
I don't think that
Can y'all help me look at that?
it probably needs to be in there, and if we stick with the percentage, there has to be,
There
like
has
you
to be
said,
a
a
standard,
standard.
or else you're gonna get the person on this end of the street say, well, I'm not as bad as the person on that end of the street. There's gotta be
You're
a
right.
standard, there's gotta be a floor.
Well, I look at foundation walls, not in disrepair, or show any visible signs of cracks. I see cracks all the time in foundation walls that don't carry through to the CMU foundation, or, don't carry through to the brick veneer.
Yeah.
But it's a crack, so it says visible signs of
The
cracks.
issue I
Where
have
do we go with that?
percentages is that, this could be applied to a variety of subjects, like how tall the grass is and, things like that. I don't know, if grass is tall, that's tall grass. If the
Yeah.
building's dilapidated, that's a dilapidated
Uh-huh.
building.
So let's go back to the 15, the rule of 15.
That's what
If
he
you've
does.
got more than,
15%.
More than 15%.
no, if you've got more than 15 feet, of damage, of linear feet on the exterior walls or whatever, then that could be considered, use it the rule of 15.
I'm not the boss, y'all are to decide.
Or I don't know, Marshall, you'd be the one on that. How would you determine?
I'm just thinking there's, wording in the International Property Maintenance Code. We didn't adopt the property maintenance code because we stick with the health and safety code, but the property maintenance code is basically the same thing as the health and safety code, and it's used across the United States. The reason that we shied away from the property maintenance code because it addressed all of the dilapidations and the concerns on the outside building and on the inside building.
Yeah.
We didn't want to get involved in that, so we put it on the shelf and we stayed with health and safety. But there's wording in the property maintenance code, and this ain't quite answering your question, but there's wording in the property maintenance code that allows an inspector to get on the property to do an evaluation. Let me look at that and see what it says, and I'll get back with you on that part, as far as having access to the property to be able to determine what kind of percentage there is of deterioration.
And I don't know if it would be a percentage, or like I said, even if you went to feet or inches of exterior that were down, or some kind of measurement where you could, where it wouldn't be, because percentages could create a problem, but we can always, feet are easy to determine.
Y'all wanna think about it and come back?
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking, visible damage, I'm thinking about sway-back roofs and stuff where people in a commercial structure have removed a load-bearing wall.
Yeah.
And the ridge beam is sunk, the rafters spreading, and you're going, who did this?
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe if Marshall can look at that and see if there's language that we could use just out of that.
Okay. I've got a note here on page 12 regarding if you've had a fire. It said, should any building and/or structure suffer damages due to fire, the owner or persons in control shall remove all refused, debris, charred, and partially burned lumber and material from the premises within 30 days after the fire department and/or insurer of the property have completed their scene investigation. Is 30 days too quickly?
I think so. Well, I mean, if you're talking about the area we live in, you can't get a contractor in most cases, especially on a new project, to even think about it before 30 days. I mean, that's just.
And that devastated these people.
Yeah, so I say we expand that out a little bit if we can.
Y'all tell me,
60.
Double it, yeah.
60?
I wanted to go back to number 5 here on page 11. It says, makes reference to the International Fire Code. I don't believe we've adopted that, have we, Marshall?
No, sir.
Go ahead and get that, they could strike out the.
Where are you at, brother?
Over here on number 5 on page 11. I'm not sure which ones, I know we haven't adopted the fire code, but I'm not sure there's any other ones on there that are not applicable to us on that list.
International Fire Code, International Fuel and Gas Code, and all that right there?
No, I mean, I don't know about the other codes, but I know haven't adopted the International Fire Code.
Okay.
Are there any other on that list, Marshall, that we
That's
haven't?
the only one.
That's the only one?
We use what, the state fire marshal's code or something? We don't.
The fire departments use the NFPA codes, which is the different family of codes, National Fire Protection Agency, and the building codes. But the building codes, people, they use NFPA 80, no, it's a 70, which is electrical code. So that's why the NFP, National Electrical Code, needs to stay in there.
Yeah.
But like Steve says, the International Fire Code probably should be omitted out of it.
Good catch, Steve.
We were just talking about it yesterday for something in the commission, so that's the only reason I happen to know that.
All right, Todd, so we moved that to 60. Everybody think so?
Yeah.
Page 14.
I'm looking at 13. Page 13 and number 15 where it talks about the opinion of the building officials and imminent danger, blah, blah, blah. And then the next page on 14 up there, it says employ the necessary labor and materials to perform the required work as expeditiously as possible. The legal counsel of this jurisdiction shall institute appropriate action against the owner of the premise or owner's authorized agent where the unsafe structure is or was located for the recovery of such costs. I got a question, would that be in the form of a lien, or what would that be?
Read this again.
I would assume so, because we got it somewhere
I
else.
think a lien
Yeah, I
would be
think
one of
it's-
your,
yeah, I think
should
it's
be
one
a,
of the rules.
a part of the solution to reclaim it. Because if that's the only solution, you'll never see it. I mean, so many people are gonna live in the house until the day they
I
die.
don't know.
And
That's
you're gonna be out
probably-
all this money, or the county, or whoever's got
county's
all this
gonna be
money,
out-
and
Yes.
now you, yeah,
Yeah.
once they pass away, maybe. you
Now,
can
wait a
say
minute. Clear me up on this. So this saying, if you come out and you determine that house was looking at was unsafe, and I refuse to do anything, that the county will step in and do those repairs, and
Yeah, it sounds ugly, don't it?
boy,
Somebody gets shot.
All day.
yeah.
But there is a way, if we keep going down through here, and I don't know which one it is, but it says we can't do those if somebody's occupying the,
Okay, so only if it's vacant?
yes. I can't remember which one of it is. but-
Go ahead, Mark.
I would recommend only if it's vacant or if it's a life safety concern.
Yeah, maybe, like,
But
you're
then
right,
the
only if
structure
it's,
itself, just to be clear.
if life is in,
Only if the structure is vacant and there's a life safety issue.
I agree, yeah.
No.
Has that ever happened? Have we ever done that? I was gonna say, I've never heard of such thing, but okay.
But then it says the beginning of 15, danger to the occupants of a building, but we just said it's not occupied.
Maybe
Or they
we
said
a little bit,
life
yeah.
emergency or whatever.
Or if it's vacant or,
or life
Public
emergency.
or occupants of the building.
well, we're
he or
gonna
she.
switch it to if life is in imminent danger. then-
So life safety issue or if it's vacant?
Can somebody give me an example of the life deal?
It can be anywhere from a gas leak
Okay.
or a structure that looks like the low path is getting ready to collapse on an occupant. Something similar to that.
So if it looks like it's about to collapse,
Maybe
then
a
obviously you have to
deck-
get a
Yeah,
structural
like a deck
engineer.
attached to a house, maybe getting detached from the house, looks like it's getting ready to collapse, something like that.
I think this kind of falls off number 14, where it talks about imminent danger,
Oh, yeah.
destruction, dangerous life. Starts talking about vapors, toxic fumes, and this kind of comes in here as like, just talking about it some more. When I was looking at this, 2 years removed, I wondered if some of this could be combined.
Consolidated, yeah.
Yes, but, it's very, you're trying to be specific, so if you have to do something, this is what it says. But, this is, it says, the word that kind of lets this happen is imminent danger. And who's qualified to say what imminent danger?
That's just it, but there's no definition that I seen in there for imminent danger, I mean.
And who would deem it to be an
Building official.
building official? Okay.
I just don't like going on somebody else's property.
That one's a little bit hazy, that's kind of like eminent domain, and
Yeah,
You don't like the word imminent.
I appreciate you come fixing my house.
yeah.
Thank you, and I'm not gonna pay for
And at the
it.
same turn, the taxpayers can get it hung out to dry on a bunch of repairs.
That's
It's
what I'm
not,
saying, there's
probably
got-
not gonna happen, but once
I don't know
again,
if it's eminent domain, but it's something else.
Yeah.
what was it, Steve?
It's not eminent domain, but it's something else.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, guys, I'm on
Is there something in the international building standards that you have that addresses issues like this?
Very similar. If the opinion of the building official or his representative that there's imminent danger, then we can put a stop work order or cease and desist or vacate placard or whatever we feel necessary to,
This is common nationwide.
yeah, right,
Most jurisdictions have similar language, you'd say.
yes.
So would it be the next step, I mean, hiring like a structural engineer to go out to the house? I mean, is that what
Well, I
is that the
think-
step?
Yes, yes. But first thing, that if it's imminent danger, in the opinion of the building inspector, they would try to contact the owner first. If they can't contact the owner, then they, according to the adopted building codes, have the authority to vacate the building and then, again, contact the owner and have it evaluated by engineer or a fuel gas technician, somebody, whatever the threat may be, and then get it mitigated and then allow people back in.
And so, as we're,
That's all through the building codes.
but as we're compiling these reports and having all these engineers, that cost involved in that is going back towards this even if, let's just say,
This in the.
we start this
ABC.
procedure and it's found that it's structurally safe.
No,
Does
this is
that
actually
homeowner
coming
or
out of
landowner incur the cost
University
of
of
those?
Kentucky.
I didn't know that was part of like maybe
Yeah.
some
I've
sort of
never
code
been down
found
that
somewhere.
path before.
I
That's pretty
completely
good.
trust
I like
your
that.
ability to make that decision. It's not
Yeah, it's
you or
part of
you
their
that I'm worried about.
environmental health
It's
and
20 years
safety
down the road when y'all are sitting on the
Yeah,
beach
they came up
somewhere
with
and
that
somebody else
definition,
is, you know,
so-
that's where I, so,
Todd, won't think on that one?
What, yeah, I got an.
man, that's,
I came up with some.
I'm gonna yield to smarter people than I am. These guys,
What if, in the opinion of the building official, conditions exist that could present an imminent danger to the public?
Could it?
That conditions exist that could present an imminent danger.
Why is it, conditions exist that are an imminent danger to the public, you know?
No, but could, that, because you wanted to know, how do you know what's imminent, right? So if it looks like it's something that could be imminent already or develop into something imminent and danger to the public, we can take out the word occupants because it's supposed to be a big construction, right? So would that be enough of wiggle room language?
It makes it bigger.
Yeah, it does.
It
What's the
makes me
public
be
doing on
able
my
to go on
private
your
property
property.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the life safety, you know, type language.
Todd's all over your private property.
Yeah, I know.
It's like this-
Won't do it.
I just like something, in my mind, I like something that, okay, bigger, you could make it bigger or smaller, but if it's not too tightly defined, right, it leaves itself to some reasonable determination.
Bruce and Brian, can y'all wanna dig into that one deeper before the next meeting, see if we can find a better,
Well,
Do you
it's
wanna-
just a thought.
You want to
just
share
a
what
thought.
you had there, or?
Sorry, Todd, I don't have any
No,
good ones
man,
today.
good.
Yeah, so I looked up what the definition of imminent danger was according to the
Yeah.
Environmental Health and Safety Department at UT. And they said, imminent danger is a situation that is likely to result in any of the following. 1, death within 30 days following an injury or exposure to hazardous material. Immediate severe injury or health hazard resulting in loss of limb, loss of vision in one or both eyes. Cessation of respiration or heartbeat, severe loss of blood that's life-threatening. Loss of consciousness, heat stroke, permanent loss of function of body part or significant loss of function. An atmosphere defined as immediately dangerous to life or health as defined by NIOSH.
well,
So,
that's,
And all of these are pre-existing.
other
conditions
hazards
that
and
could lead to-
situations as determined by a hazard analysis conducted by a trained professional.
Which I don't know where one is.
y'all are trained professionals in
Let's
this.
play fetch again, okay?
But we're still talking about going on property to determine the dilapidated, that's what we're still.
Yeah,
Not
well,
necessarily imminent danger, but,
correct.
okay.
But it could, people walk in, their kids go there or something, they see an abandoned building, and they wanna go take pictures or tag it or something. It presents, the conditions exist, it could present a danger to the public.
It's
Exactly.
attractive nuisance.
Attractive
Yeah.
nuisance, well, that's what my wife calls me.
And we get to put placards on it. And we have in the past once.
I like a lot of those
Because it's so
definitions, though.
bad.
I like a lot of that. That seems very much what we're trying to get at here with that.
Yeah,
Just copy and paste.
I was
that
fond
too.
of them.
yeah, there you go.
So Todd, what are your thoughts on that section?
I just think we're just trying to, well, it's an area that I don't have much, it's such a small percentage of what I do.
Yeah,
But Louis Brown was the only one that we've gotten to tore down, but it was just a little shack thing, and it was just falling down so much, but it was, attractive nuisance to kids at the church. It was right there. I mean, it didn't take a rocket science to figure it was all falling down, dude. It was just falling down, but the door was open, there was a piano in there and some pictures and magazines where kids,
Yeah.
it's got to go. We're just gonna demolish it, and we did. But it takes so long, but you know, it was imminent danger.
Wow.
Anybody in there, you might have stepped or pushed one pole and the whole thing's coming down.
Oh, yeah, sure. We've all seen it.
Yes.
And while I completely get nervous when we start talking about taking control of somebody's property, I understand there is a need, and obviously it's very, very rare in this county.
Yes.
Do you feel like the language that's in here already is sufficient, or should we modify this?
Well, I just wanted to, you know, my question was, has anybody got anything else other than a lien? You know, for recovery of any of the monies that we spent because we don't have any to spend?
Do we pursue other avenues before we go straight for the lien? I mean, do we?
Yeah, I know, what could that look like? I mean, I don't know, I was just.
Well, you know how slow things are with the legal system. We can't get a warrant served, it takes forever for that.
Correct.
Due to their sheriff's
See,
office
and I don't wanna
resources.
sound like a Debbie Downer, but Steve can back me up on that. You know, I call him, man, this dude, I got one place that's so crapped up, you can't imagine, dude. And getting a hurry up warrant on it was about 5 months. That's a hurry up. I've got some that we.
kidding me?
No, man.
They just don't have the
Oh my
resources to.
gosh. This
get
guy
somebody to
told
serve.
me over there, I talked to the magistrate, he said, Todd, we issue over 10,000 warrants a year. And I said, what? And he told me the population, and do the math, it's like every fourth person is getting a warrant. But I can't believe that, you know, but he was saying like traffic, divorce, all this kind of stuff, domestic violence, theft, whatever. I had to believe him. He started going down the chart, and he was talking to me. I was like, how come we can't get these things served? I don't want to be disrespectful, but he's like,
I meant to print this out before I came to this meeting, and I don't want to read the whole thing, but it's something, and off topic, it's something that I had read the other day that some girl posted about this department. I'm sure you're familiar with Miss Little. Well,
she's slamming us.
yeah, and which addresses my concerns and all this, and
Say it.
well, no, I'll I'll let you read this, and we'll talk about it after. But don't let me forget,
Okay.
because it's a perfect example of why I think we're sitting here being as thorough as we are on this. So,
Yeah. Is she somebody that we've worked with?
oh yeah, it's somebody that,
Little?
mhm.
Doesn't ring a bell with me.
Yeah, I just although it was posted in a public platform, I don't really want to expose anybody's name sitting here, but.
It's all right if it's me, dude. I'm here.
No, I'm talking about, we're on the old telecast here.
I got you.
So I want to protect her name from the public, but I
got
do
you.
definitely want you to take a look at it and see what your response is. But now we can go back to this.
How far y'all wanna go?
What time is it? Oh, heck,
6:20?
I think we probably end it right here for the day if y'all are good.
Okay.
You've got my mind going with all this stuff now that I didn't bother to look into.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good. We'll stop on.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? Second. All those in favor? We're out here.